Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 79th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. Today, we're going to be talking about a film I have finally gotten to see that I've been wanting to see for a while. 2023's Perfect Days, directed by Wenders. It stars my man Koji Yakushu. Now, I ain't gonna waste no time because if you know anything about this director and the lead actor, you know this is an awesome yet strange collaboration. The cool thing is that this is a collaboration between Germany and Japan, seeing as Wim is from Germany, yet he's made movies in many different countries and languages, and I think this man is a perfect chameleon of life and the way he can completely put himself in an unfamiliar environment and tell a story like he's from that place. Kind of like indie genius Sean Baker, but on a larger scale. Koji was the perfect actor for this role as he blends into his role seamlessly like his director does. So let's get into this. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and hit me on Letterbox. It's linked down below. All right. So, this movie follows an older man who is a traveling toilet cleaner for some type of upscale company in Tokyo. And we see his mundane and routine life as we learn things about him and why he is the way he is. When Wenders was invited to see the Tokyo Toilet Project, where he saw these very unique bathrooms created and was inspired, which is crazy. But when you see these bathrooms, I think you get why he was inspired. Each of these bathrooms have a personality of their own and are in these cool, distinct locations. I must say, I was quite fascinated by them myself. I will not be spoiling this movie, but I'll really go off early and say this. This is almost a plotless film. Think about the flow of Jean Dielman. How we watch this woman's routine day by day and notice every little detail as things start to change. Now, if you weren't a fan of that movie, don't let that scare you away from this one. These are two entirely different films. The magic in this film does oddly lie in the mundane nature of watching this very thorough and detailed man live his regular ass life. The way he waters his plants every morning, the way he grabs his coffee out the vending machine, and most important, the way this man cleans toilets. I've never seen someone clean a toilet with such pride and care. I would love to use a bathroom this man cleaned. He's a fan of a lot of different types of music, and his song choices are very unique. We have a man who is disconnected from the current world. Old cell phone, cassette tapes, paper books, and an old school camera. I mean, he didn't even know what Spotify was. We are dealing with a man who is bare bones and set in his ways and is totally fine with a minimalist life. You can see this man is happier than most people because although he has a job that a lot of people look down on, he is free and lives without the stresses of keeping up with the modern society and conforming to the majority. I don't understand why anyone would look down on people like this. He is one of the people keeping the things flowing smoothly in this world that we need. He does his job with precision and care, and I would hire this guy in a heartbeat to work for me. Let's talk about the toilets a little bit because the toilets are the centerpiece of this whole thing. These toilets are his safe place, and you can try and tell me it's just a job all you want. For him, it's more. The pride in knowing people are using a clean bathroom. The joy of helping the young boy who was lost and can't find his mother. He sees himself as a small piece, properly serving the world his duty it demands of him. He is a hard worker, a strong stoic type who only speaks when necessary. These toilets are some of the most unique bathrooms I've ever seen. I will not tell you about them. Just go and look. The art and detail put into them is just mind blowing. I'll say this though. My favorite is the one with all the wood on them. They had this cool ass woodsy rustic feel that I just loved. And of course, the clear colored boxes, they go dark when you go in them. But the shots of these bathrooms and the uses of color in this movie is brilliant. I mean, since Paris, Texas, we know when Wenders movies are gorgeous to look at, and this is no different. I was absolutely floored by the cinematography in this movie. So many of the shots in here are just breathtaking. Seriously. Wim just knows how to capture a city, and it's that simple. If you don't take anything away from this movie, you will say it's at least a pretty film to look at. Now, this movie has a point to it. We get bits and pieces of our lead's life through interactions and dreams, and I think this was to show us the mental state of our lead and the life he is in and the life he once led, showing us a contrast between the two worlds and how it relates to happiness. Now, I could be wrong, just the way I read it, and if you disagree, I would love to hear your take on it. I think this is really displayed in the character of his niece. She is in the middle of two worlds, and you'll understand when you see it. Now, all of this is fine and dandy, but this would be where my main criticism of the film comes in. We get these glimpses and moments from dreams and slightly touched on in interactions with certain characters. I felt a lot of them were empty and didn't really tell us more about our lead. Because clearly, seeing his life played out this way is supposed to tell us about him and why he is the way he is, which I do like, but some of these interactions are a little strange and kind of tell us nothing. As far as an example goes, I don't want to give too much away, but a coworker and his girlfriend were one I couldn't quite put my finger on. But maybe I just need to see it again. But I'll say this. Although I love how this movie ends, it leaves me feeling only a little bit closer to our lead and not a lot, which is how I think I should feel after a movie like this. Koji is in all 2 hours of this movie, and do not get me wrong, I loved him, but I am still craving more insight, a lot of stones that still need to be turned. There's so much more I want to know about where he came from, why certain things are the way they are in his life. Because this is a man of value, and men of value we rarely see living like this, especially in the part of the world he comes from and the era he grew up in. This movie reminded me of an Ozu movie in its style and its minimalism. But one thing about Ozu is when I watch his characters, those are my brothers, sisters, moms, dads, whatever family member by the end of it. I know them. I feel them. I feel like I would know what they would do in a given situation. And I can't say that about Hirayama, which is a name used in a few Ozu films. But let's talk about Koji and how he played Hirayama. This man plays this character to perfection. I mean, he's always good. Cure from 1997 is one of my favorites, but I think this is his best performance to date. I mean, he plays this just like a slick older gentleman who takes that pride in his work. Reminds you of your hardworking and loving granddad, someone full of wisdom and grit. And even though he's older, he feels like he's going to live another 60 years. You really feel this when a certain character is introduced and see the way their relationship unfolds. It's very fun to watch him interact with certain people and see how a man so calculated deals with the day to day disturbances in his life. Like when he has to unexpectedly take on the night shift when he does not normally work night shifts, and we see him unravel a bit in the most convincing way. These little disturbances cause problems and setbacks in his day, kind of like we see in Gene Dealman. And these disturbances are just enough to throw off a very centered and balanced man. Koji knew exactly what this role called for. A performance that subdued his Gladstone and Flower Moon, yet a performance that anchored this movie perfectly and carries it across the finish line with a victory lap. Koji won Best Actor at Cannes, and I can't argue with it at all. There's a sincerity to Koji's eyes that was needed for this character. And let's just talk about how this man still pretty much has looked the same for the last 30 years. Just some grays in his full head of hair at 68 years old. I think Wenders hasn't slowed down at all, man. I'm beyond impressed that at almost 80, so many of these guys are still making movies with vigor and hunger like they're 45, yet still has added the layers of life and experiences to them. This is a film about life and experience, getting older and coping with living with the decisions you've made for yourself, adjusting and making yourself happy despite what you've been through and where you may be at. Although Van Wenders doesn't clean toilets and he makes movies, I'm sure there is a lot of himself in this character and likely using the toilet cleaning as a metaphor for his own craft and how he takes such time and care to perfect his work. And if there's any truth to anything I'm saying, I think that's one of the coolest things ever. The self-reflection of one's body of work and their work is always cool to see. Think of my man Bob Fosse and all that jazz. Perfect Days is a great film, and I did have a lot of fun with it. I would say it does stack up with some of his better works over the decades, and I would really recommend this movie to anyone. I would honestly, in my humble opinion, choose this over The Zone of Interest for the pick for Best International Feature. I mean, truly, both Glazer and Wenders achieved something great for two veteran directors, but I personally just think Perfect Days is a more entertaining and rewatchable film. So, overall, I will give Perfect Days a 9 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Perfect Days review. Let me know if there's a film or topic you would like me to review. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that below. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below as well. Like and subscribe. I appreciate it, guys. I will be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.